So this is our third video for Hatshepsut, and we're going to try and make sense of some of the terms that we use to describe the time period that we're looking at. So a bit of an overview of New Kingdom and also the structure of Egyptian society, or how historians have tried to make sense of the time periods of ancient Egypt. So let's have a look at this image here, and I'll get rid of myself so we can see a little bit better, and we'll try and draw some little images on here to make sense of the terms we're looking at. So when we talk about ancient Egyptian history, we really talk about three main periods, or that's what most scholars sort of focus on and most people focus on. The Old Kingdom period, the Middle Kingdom period, and the New Kingdom period, which extends down here too. And when we say kingdom, what we're talking about here is that Upper and Lower Egypt are united under one king. So in each of these, Old Kingdom, Middle Kingdom, New Kingdom, Upper and Lower Egypt, so the north of Egypt and the south of Egypt are united together, and there's one king controlling both of those lands. That's the main thing we need to really understand. In between these kingdoms, we have what's called intermediate periods. There's the first one there, and there is a second one there, and then we have a third intermediate period down here. And they're periods where Egypt is no longer united under one king. It might be have separate king. There might be a king of Upper Egypt and a king of Lower Egypt, and there might be alternatively, you might have a foreign force who have invaded and were controlling Egypt at the time. And that's really what we're looking at here. So we're looking at, the period we're looking at is the end of the second intermediate period, where a group called the Hyksos have taken control of Egypt, and upon their expulsion in the 17th dynasty, we move into the New Kingdom period. So that brings us to the term dynasty. So a dynasty is the rule, for a very basic understanding of it, is it's a rule of a family, where successive family members take on the role of king. So we can see that each of these kingdoms, and indeed the intermediate periods, are also broken up into dynasties. And the main thing we really need to know about that is that the dynasty that we're looking at is the 18th dynasty. That's the main thing we really need to know. And that it we see the 17th dynasty just before it. That's where we start seeing the Hyksos expelled. And then at the 18th dynasty, we move into the New Kingdom period. So that's really all we need to know. Those key terms are the kingdom, which is when we have the Upper and Lower Egypt united together. The kingdom we're looking at is the New Kingdom, which follows immediately after the second intermediate period, where the Upper and Lower Egypt weren't united, because we had the Hyksos who were in control there. If we move a little bit closer to another image, what we will see is the 18th dynasty here. So we can see down the bottom here, this is the 18th dynasty, stretching from 1560 BC all the way through to, what is that, about 1300 BC, so quite an expansive time. And here are all the kings that have controlled Egypt during this time period. And we can see here the first king of the New Kingdom period is King Ahmose I. The second king is King Amenhotep I. The third king is Hatshepsut's father, Thutmose I. The next king is Hatshepsut's brother, Thutmose II, who she was also married to, as was the custom. And then we see down here Hatshepsut herself. And you can see by the line down here that her rule started immediately at the end of Thutmose II, her brother and husband's. What we also see here is Thutmose III. Okay, his rule starts at the same time. So what we're really talking about with Hatshepsut is concurrent kingship, two kings ruling at once, which is really important to understand. So this is the time period we're looking at, and then obviously Hatshepsut dies, Thutmose III continues to rule on. At the end of Thutmose III's reign, we see Amenhotep II rule, and then at the end of his reign, Thutmose IV rules, and then it continues on and on. So the key terms to understand dynasty, kingdom, and intermediate period, the Hyksos, and that's about all we really need to understand Egyptian history.